let's talk about something that affects millions of us, but we often feel like we have to whisper about it, and that's bladder control. It can really feel like it's just an inevitable part of life, but I'm here to tell you it doesn't have to be. So today we're going to dive into some practical, powerful strategies to help you manage your bladder health and, really get back in the driver's seat of your own life. Wow, this quote from a patient, it just hits you, right? It perfectly captures that feeling of your own body calling all the shots, forcing you to plan your entire day around where the next bathroom is. If that sounds even a little bit familiar, I just want you to know you are so not alone in this. It's a real struggle, and recognizing that is the very first step toward changing it. And this number right here, it explains so much. A survey found that a whopping 60% of people would be embarrassed to talk about urinary incontinence. Think about that. That's more than they'd feel talking about money or family stuff. And that silence, well, it's what stops so many people from getting help. Breaking that silence is absolutely the key to finding real solutions. All right, so let's pull back the curtain on this, shall we? Let's get past the silence and really understand what's going on. Because the challenge of incontinence isn't just about a physical leak here and there. Nope. It has this huge ripple effect that touches the emotional and social parts of our lives, from making us feel totally isolated to just chipping away at our confidence. And when you don't get a handle on it, the consequences, well, they're huge. Physically, you're looking at things like skin problems and messed up sleep. Emotionally, it can bring on these heavy feelings of shame and anxiety. And socially, it can make you want to just pull back from friends, family, and all the things you used to love doing. Seeing this full picture is exactly why taking action is so incredibly important. You can't fix what you don't understand, right? So let's take a minute and quickly break down the most common types of bladder control issues. Figuring out which type you might be dealing with is a game changer because it points you toward the right strategies to manage it. Okay, first up is something called stress incontinence. This is when any kind of physical pressure on your bladder, from a cough, a sneeze, or even a really good laugh, causes a little bit of a leak. It's often tied to the strength of your pelvic floor muscles, which are kind of like a support system for everything down there. Then you've got urge incontinence. A lot of people know this one as overactive bladder. This is that sudden, overwhelming need to go, where you get that panic feeling like you're just not going to make it to the bathroom in time. It's a real bolt from the blue. And the third one we'll touch on is overflow incontinence. This is what happens when your bladder doesn't empty all the way, which leads to this kind of constant, slow dribble. You might just have that nagging feeling that you can never quite get fully relieved. So, what's the common thread here? Well, for many of these issues, it comes down to your pelvic floor muscles. I want you to picture them like a muscular hammock or a sling that holds up your bladder, rectum, and uterus. They are absolutely essential for control. Seriously, strengthening this muscular foundation is one of the most powerful things you can do for your bladder health. Okay, enough with the what, let's get to the how. How do we actually take back control? We're going to start with some simple, straightforward lifestyle and diet tweaks you can literally start making today. Now, this is super interesting because it blows up a common myth. You might think, okay, I'll just drink less water, but that can actually backfire. See, when you drink too little, your urine gets really concentrated, and that can irritate your bladder, making you feel the urge to go more often. Of course, drinking way too much can overwhelm it. The goal is that sweet spot, right in the middle, balanced hydration sipped throughout the day. And it's not just about how much you drink, but what you drink and eat. Certain things can be real bladder irritants. Your morning coffee, the caffeine is a diuretic, which means it makes you have to go. Plus, it can directly stimulate your bladder muscle. Same goes for alcohol. And then you have acidic things like citrus or spicy foods that can just plain irritate the sensitive lining of your bladder. You don't have to give them up forever. Try this. Cut them out for a week and then slowly bring them back one by one. It's like being a detective for your own body to find your personal triggers. Here's another really cool technique. It's called bladder training. And it's exactly what it sounds like. You're teaching your bladder to hold more urine and to send you that gotta go signal less often. First, just keep a little diary for a couple of days to see what your pattern is. Then you start to stretch the time between bathroom breaks, maybe just by 15 minutes at first. The key is sticking to a schedule, which helps your bladder relearn its own cues. Okay, let's talk about building some muscle. Remember that foundation we mentioned, that pelvic floor? Well, we're about to make it rock solid. We're going to focus on the single most effective exercise for improving bladder control by targeting those muscles directly. And that exercise is, of course, the famous Kegel.
To do them right, first you have to find the right muscles. The easiest way is to try and stop your stream of urine next time you're in the bathroom. Once you know what that squeeze feels like, that's it. Squeeze and hold those muscles for 3 seconds, then relax for 3 seconds. The real secret here? It's all about consistency. Aim for a few sets, 3 or 4 times a day. You can do them anywhere, sitting at your desk, watching TV. No one will even know.
Okay, but let's be real. Lifestyle changes are great, but sometimes you need some backup. And that is totally okay. There's a whole toolkit of products and support systems out there designed to help you manage everything with dignity and confidence. This isn't about admitting defeat. It's about empowering you to live your life to the fullest. The range of products available today is amazing, and they're all designed for comfort and discretion. We're talking everything from liners and pads that are barely there to protective underwear and creams that protect your skin. These are practical tools that give you the security and peace of mind you need to go out and do whatever you want without fear or worry. And hey, remember that 60% statistic we talked about at the beginning? Let's you and I be the ones to change that. Opening up to a doctor, a caregiver, or even just a trusted friend is such a huge first step. Having that conversation leads to a better plan. And more than anything, it reminds you that you don't have to go through this alone. So we've walked through the impact, the causes, and a ton of solutions. Now it all comes down to taking that first step. It doesn't have to be huge. Maybe it's trying one Kegel exercise right now, or skipping that second cup of coffee tomorrow morning, or just picking up the phone to make a doctor's appointment. What is one small change you can make today? Because regaining control starts with that single, powerful action.